So hi everyone, my name is Dan, and I founded Macrometer to help companies use Marketo as efficient as possible. So I'm very happy to talk about reporting with you. So the presentation is going to be focused on what things we can do to do reporting in Marketo, like a checklist of best practices, and then we're going to look at what reporting is available in Marketo, and then we're going to look at some examples of Marketo reporting. So we all want to do good reporting, and there's certain things we can do in Marketo to make sure that we have everything set up to get this reporting, but then there's some other things in the organization that stops us from having good reporting. So, for example, reporting is only as good as the data you put in, right? So garbage in, garbage out. Also, things like, does everybody in your organization know what reports are available? And do they know where to find them? When you have a report, do you send them a link to that report that they can access, or do you send each other Excels back and forth, right? So what, and what processes do you have in place to track all the marketing activities and all the costs? And do people in the organization know where to get these costs and how to put them in? So these things have to be in place. Also, you have to make certain decisions as a company. Are you going to use first touch attribution, or are you going to use multi-touch attribution? Is marketing responsible for pipeline generated or for revenue generated? Which one is it, right? So pick one and stick with it. Right? That'll help you a lot. And also you have to know what you want to measure and measure it on a regular basis. So these are all things very important. So the reporting that's available in Marketo, we have our basic reporting at the top left. And then as you graduate from using your basic reporting, you start using the revenue cycle analyzer and components of that. So the opportunity influence analyzer, the program analyzer, and the revenue cycle explorer. Now, you have to know that, for example, the RCE, the revenue cycle explorer, it's available only in the enterprise edition of Marketo, and it's an add-on, and you have to pay extra, right? So if you don't have it, you have to go to Marketo to get it from Marketo. But the progression is usually from basic reporting to the analyzers and to the revenue cycle explorer, and I'll show examples of that. So there's the concepts of first touch attribution and multi-touch attribution. Basically, the first touch attribution takes into account the original program where a lead comes in as a source. That's the acquisition program. So that program and the cost associated with that program is responsible for all the revenue that then is generated by that lead. So that's the concept of first touch attribution. And in the concept of multi-touch attribution, you have the lead goes through various programs, and then the successes of those various programs and the cost is split over the successes of those various programs for an opportunity that's closed. So at a high level, that's the concepts that you want to work with. So when you try to come up with attribution models, just keep in mind first touch and multi-touch attribution. Again, pick one and stick with it. Report. So let's look at the reporting requirements checklist. So this is my checklist. It's also recommended by Marketo. These are all things, and I'll go into each of them, of things that you have to have set up in order for reporting to work, in order for you to have the things that you need to be reporting on. So first one, use progression statuses. So you have your channel and you have progression statuses. This is an example of a webinar where you have your invited, registered, attended, no-show, attended on demand, viewed on demand, hot lead, or unsubscribed in this case. So my successes indicated by the check mark is attended on demand, viewed on demand, and hot lead. So those are my successes. And I have smart campaigns that change that status. So this is very important. The next one, I go like this. Okay, use your local assets in programs. So this is a typical structure that you want to use. You want to have a naming convention for your program. This is a request a demo form. You have a local landing page. So when somebody comes into the landing page, they will become, when it's somebody new, they'll be acquired by this program. So this is very important because then in first touch attribution, the program will get credit. So your local asset will generate the program as the acquisition program. So in this case, we have a few people who were acquired by this program at the filled out stage. And then we have a few people that already exist in the database and they were not acquired by this stage. And that's why I want to use also smart campaigns to change the status. So this is also very important. Then you have to have your period costs. So you have to know where you get your costs from. So every program has to have a cost. If you have one cost, you can add multiple costs, or if there's no cost, just add 0. That's very important to have 0. And you can go back and change all this historically. All right. Oh, this is my favorite one, tags. I love tagging, and I love creating tags. Because when you can sort your reports with tags, and that's really awesome. I really love it. So you can have tags by geography, by campaign objective, by offer that you present, and all this can go to RCE. So for example, I love having tags, acquisition, like what's the objective of your program? Is it acquisition or is it relationship building? And then you can measure your programs to see how well they're doing for their objective. And also what type of offer are you doing? And this is beyond just the channel. This is, is this a brochure? What type of white paper is it? All of these things you can add. See here, I have you must import program cost as a required tag. So when you create your program, people have to check mark that they enter the cost. So that's a good reminder for them. Interesting moments. This is very important for the opportunity influence analyzers to have. You have to decide what interesting moments do you want to mark in your marketing organization. And also remember that interesting moments is what people see in Marketo Sales Insight in CRM. So you have to decide what information is relevant for them to see. Because they're not going to go into Marketo, they're just going to look into Sales Insight. And that's where they will see the interesting moment that you want to tell them. And see here how I have click links in an email, and I mark an interesting moment email, and then I tell them what was the link and what was the subject line of that email that I marked. So I use the tokens in here. Now, this one, connect contacts to opportunities. This is very important. And I know that it's not, a lot of times it's not the marketing department that is in charge of CRM, but it's very crucial to have any opportunities. Like for example, here in Salesforce, you have an opportunity, a macrometer, and then there's all these people that are attached to the opportunity, that have a contact role. And this is the only way that Marketo knows that this lead has an opportunity, and then if this opportunity is closed or won or there's a revenue associated, that's the only way it knows if these records are tied to that opportunity. So you have to work with the people in your sales leadership, you have to work with your CRM administrators to get them on board to practice doing this, because that's the only way you can report how a lead comes in and if it turns into an opportunity. You can sync your custom fields to RCE, so you can run reports on that. You can do it from admin. It usually takes around 48 hours, but it can be done. And use naming conventions for reports. So those of you that we work together in the room, you know how big I am on naming conventions and having naming conventions for everything. You know, you can do per product, per channel, per geography. Like if you keep your folders organized and you keep your programs organized, you got to keep your reports organized also. If you search for them, you want to be able to know how to find them and what report to go at, and people have to have links to these reports and they have to know how to access and what they mean. So that was the checklist, right? So if we have all this in place, then we can start seeing something in reports. So let's look, now we're going to look at the examples of basic reports that I like to have. So you have your program performance report. It's your basic report that you look at, you know, a cost per success or new members do my programs have. And I have here some newsletters which are not generating new names because they're just newsletters. They're not focused on acquisition and they have no cost per new names. And I can see here's my webinars, and what this webinar has a lower cost per success than this webinar. So looking at the program performance report allows me to keep an eye. Do I have all the costs in? Do I have all the information, Jonah?
What do you recommend for period costs when there aren't hard costs associated and there's just like time and effort?
All right, so again, you have to make a decision as an organization. Are we going to count my labor cost? Are we going to count the consulting cost? Are we adding, for every campaign, are we adding 10% extra dedicated to labor? Make a decision and stick with it.
10% extra of 0?
Well, no, then you come up with, it took me an hour, it was so much. But you just have to make a decision. Either say, we're not going to count for that, or we're going to count in a certain way and always stick with that. Leads by source. So you can do leads by any attribute, but I wanted to show you leads by source here. You can see which lead source generated the most amount of total one opportunities. So I can see over here the total one opportunities from partner referrals is good. So partners are good for my business in this case. And I also see that there's a lot of lead sources which are empty. There's 30,000 of them, so I have to go back and find a lead source for them. That's quite see, so that's a problem that shows. And now you can do lead by lead source, and you can add your opportunity columns, so that's pretty cool. And then you can do this even more advanced in RC.
Are those smart lists as columns?
No, this is not smart. This is in settings. You can turn on opportunity columns. So just go to, you'll find it in settings, opportunity columns. And again, of course, the content has to be connected to an opportunity, because that's the only way you will know. And so you can do leads by an attribute, like a field, but you can also do leads by segment. So I have here my geography segments, and I can see the same information, but I can see it by segments. So I can see the most total one opportunities come in North America. There's also leads by revenue. So if you're using the revenue cycle modeler and you have your revenue stages, I like to have mine with numbers, so I can look at it like a funnel here. And then these are my detours. This is similar to, so this answers the question of what is my pipeline. So this is similar to the success path analyzer, but it's just in a report format. And this is my company web activity and also web activity report, which will show me what companies are looking at my website, and I can see if my competitors are looking at my, if my targeted accounts are looking at my website. So I can see both company, and I can also see leads in my database that are tracked, that are looking at my company. And I like to split them like this. In account-based marketing, this will be important. The activity web report, it's the people you have in your database that look at your website. The company web activity report, it can be, it's just looking up your IP address and matches it to a company. So it pulls that information, he knows that this is the company. So all those tools like real-time personalization, they'll go even further. They'll look what industry is this company in, and then they'll adjust the content based on that. So it's just, so again, yeah, it's limited information. Good. My analyzer. So then once you graduate from your basic reporting, you move on to using the analyzers. The first one that you want to use is the Opportunity Influence Analyzer, which tries to answer the question of what marketing program influenced a big closed won opportunity. So, what was the marketing's impact? Now in here, see you have my has opportunity role and then has no role in the opportunity, and I can choose who to look at. These dots, they're my interesting moments. So that's why I said it's very important to mark my interesting moments, because that's what it's going to show me. I can filter out what interesting moments I want to focus or not from settings. I can look at a time frame, and the check marks are the success. And this green area right here, so this is the time of the opportunity. So I look here at an opportunity, and then this is when the opportunity was open, this is the opportunity was closed, and I can see what marketing interactions happen in between. And then I want to check to see what was the latest interaction then triggered the opportunity. So that's my opportunity, but you can look only at one opportunity at a time, right? One account and then one opportunity at a time. In my programs analyzer, so a program analyzer has these nice bubbles that will show you, they will be able to compare programs or channels with each other, and then you can increase size of the bubbles and color code this. Again, you see I have a naming convention over here on my programs, and I can use tags to search this. And then you have your RCE. So RCE is basically the pivot tables and the filters and the color coding that you do in Excel and creates a hell, but you do it with the data from Marketo, in Marketo. So that's, if I would be to summarize RCE, that's what it is, right? So you have a nice pivot table. So this is an add-on, right? So something like this will help me answer like which marketing channel added the most new names, or which marketing channel has the highest cost per new name per quarter. So this is what I can do in RCE. You can also look at what time of day do people click mostly in emails. So I can do the same per day, clicks per day, per hour. So I can see here that on Mondays and on Wednesdays mornings, people click the most. So here's your checklist again. Use progression statuses, use local asset, add period costs, use custom tags, use interesting moments, connect contacts to opportunities, sync your custom fields, and use naming conventions for your reports. And if you do all this and you start digging into your basic reports, you'll be amazed at what you find, and then you start playing around with the program analyzers. And if you do really need RCE, talk to Marketo to get it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.